indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, excuse me. We have a big audience. The meeting is now in session. Unless you're asked to speak or it's public comments, quiet is the name of the game. So, okay. Thank you. So, roll call, please.
Patterson?
Here.
Henderson here. Conan?
Here.
Slatz?
Here.
Malecki?
Here. Okay, approval of agenda.
No proposed changes, Ben? Everything
No.
on track? Okay. Approval of agenda as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, minutes from our last meeting, October 2nd.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 2nd as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Okay, so we can, a motion to start the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So we started that at 7:32. Moving right along. Okay. So the public hearing is for a special approval land use for the site of 227, gotta put my glasses back on, 55 Barrow Street. Okay, so this is a R1 district. It was previously the Assembly of God Church, I believe. And now they want to make that into a duplex. So we're not talking about a duplex is a dual occupancy, which is multiple, but it's just a dual. It's not many dwellings, it's only two. So that's all we're talking about, nothing else. So the public hearing, is there comments from the audience?
Mine's not really. Art Simpson, I live on T Street. Mine's really a question, not a comment. This is, you're going to, if it is approved, this is special exemptions?
I don't know what you mean, special exemption.
Yeah.
So
From-
it's exempt from the ordinance, so it's a special approval land use, so it's a special approval, not really an exemption, but I guess you could put it that way.
Okay, it's not an exemption from building codes,
Oh, no, no,
setbacks,
no,
entrance ways,
What it means is that
if required, rewiring or
Oh, yeah.
asbestos removal.
Yeah.
It's not an exemption from any of that.
No,
it means the use is not permitted as a standalone in that district, so it's by special approval only.
yeah,
I guess I just didn't understand special.
yeah. Well, so none of the codes get to be changed. It's just the only code that's being changed is the zoning, which is allowing it to be a duplex. It used to be in our old ordinance, if you were on a corner, you didn't even have to come into the planning commission, and that parcel is actually a corner lot, so under the old ordinance, we wouldn't even...
Well, my understanding is a double lot.
Well,
So
that could
one lot is probably on the corner and the other lot isn't.
Okay. Okay, so anybody else?
Yes. I do have some information I just wanted to pass out to people so that you kind of,
You're
Follow
limited
along.
to 3 minutes.
maybe you can just pass it.
Okay.
All right, let me start with, I'm Don DePalma, by the way. I live at 74289 Teach Street.
Okay?
I'm directly across the street, directly adjacent from this property. Now, if you look at the packet, you can get the definition of the word two-family house, which is multiple family. On the second page, we've got multiple family residential. So a multiple family residential is a classification of housing where multiple separate housing units for residential inhabitants are contained. It's a common form of an apartment building. Move on to page 3. And we've got our separate districts that are assigned R1 and RM. You've got single family residence district, that's where this property is. And you've got multiple family residence districts. Now, going back to the definition, that would make a duplex a multiple family residence.
And that's exactly what I said.
Well, now you've got a table of permitted uses by district. Now if you move forward to the table, you can see that R1 and RM districts have prohibited use section. If you go down to multiple family dwelling development, it is prohibited in an R1. That means it's not allowed.
Under that, you can do a duplex in R1 with special approval.
But that contradicts that it says multiple family is not allowed in an R1. It's prohibited. And the definition of a multifamily is an apartment. And so that contradicts itself. So a townhouse is not allowed, but a duplex is, supposedly. But that's contradictory to what the ordinance says about what's allowed or prohibited in an R1. Now, the reason I'm coming forward and not in favor of this is because it does directly affect my property value. Because I've got a house that's 2 doors down, that's a rental. House across the street, that's a rental. This is a property that is specifically designed to be a rental. A duplex is specifically designed to be a rental. It's a multiple family unit. And the current owners may not have that intent, but nobody knows the future. They could come into financial straits where they are unable to keep the property. They could sell it to somebody else who will then rent the property out. I know there are rental properties over on Simmons. Now, according to the ordinance, if you read through this packet, the village cannot do things, cannot make decisions that would affect my property values. It's in the ordinance.
We're limiting you to 3 minutes as we said.
Okay. But read the ordinance, everybody. You cannot make a decision that affects my property values. And there is documentation here showing that multiple rentals in my neighborhood does affect my property values. As do foreclosures in the neighborhood, which I've had those. And also, we do have in the rental two doors up, somebody who is a registered sex offender. So my property values have been, now that's got nothing to do with the village. But this is one thing stacked on top of another.
Okay, so, if anybody else would like to speak?
Yeah, I would. I also live right across the street, so we're affected directly by this. I have vested interest in my community, in the place where I live. And having a duplex across the street, number one, economically will cause us issues with our property values, with everything else that's going on, which he just stated. Also, I want to continue on passing this house down to generations to my kids. I love Armada. I love this community. I love everything that has to do with it. A duplex comes across. They now turn their little property into a duplex. Who's to say that lot next door now won't turn into a duplex also? They own 2 lots. So now we have an apartment complex with 2 duplex in the middle of our quiet subdivision, which is now infringing on my views For viewing the horses that I have, that I look at every day, that I love, it's infringing on my views, it's infringing on my social status with people coming back and forth. You're gonna have a huge garage that's gonna be built, you're gonna have all this other stuff that's gonna be happening. That's causing social distress to me, because I live right there. And each one of you need to look at your own home and say, do you want a duplex right next to that house? Do you want a duplex next to your home? Probably not. And probably if this was affecting you, it would be a totally different story. But it's not, it's affecting me, and it's affecting all these people here. All these people have a vested interest in Armada, and they love Armada. And they don't want to see Armada go into slums because we have renter after renter, duplex after duplex. And that's what's gonna happen. It's just a fact.
I'm sorry, but that is not a fact, because any duplex has to come before this board to have it happen. So to say that just because you did one, it's all gonna turn into one, that's,
Well, if you think about the future, which is what we all need
Well,
to
again, we
think
think
about,
about
that
the
is,
future.
you do it once, it's that much easier to do it again. It's just that much easier.
thank you for your comment. Anybody else?
So you know, I'm the part of the property owner with my daughter, and we decided to try to do this in a reasonable manner. My daughter and I are planning on living in this place together. We want to have separate utilities, so to be able to do that, we have to make it a duplex, otherwise I can't get separate utilities on it. And, you know, if you go back and maybe look at a little bit of what some of these definitions are, our definitions for our site plans are directed by the definitions in our ordinance, not by definitions that are printed out in some other paper or wherever they come up from. And a duplex is allowed.
The Webster's Dictionary.
Excuse me?
It was Webster's Dictionary.
Well, yeah, but I don't know what you've got it set for, and, you know, it's got the usually, and it's got some verbiage here that might be variable. But, you know, we're planning on coming in and redoing the place, fixing it up, putting on siding rather than cement block. I'm sorry we're planning on, you know, using it as a living, but that's what it can be used for, and we're not doing anything that anyone else wouldn't do. If you're unhappy about all the renters in your neighborhood, I don't know why you lived here. There's renters all around you. Are you going and complaining to those people? That doesn't make any sense. People can rent their homes. If you buy a house for an investment, you want to rent it, you can rent it. That doesn't diminish the property values. It's people that diminish the property values. So if the landlord doesn't take care of the property, or if the landlord doesn't make sure that he has good tenants, that's pretty much an inflection on him rather than the neighborhood. So I don't see where that's really relevant to this. And we plan on improving the property. We don't plan on making it anything negative. And I'm sorry, I don't think we're going to be blocking anyone's view from anything. So.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Is it just, I don't know
Okay,
what your plans
If you
are.
would
Oh,
say your
I'm
name and...
Patty Lipinski. I live right behind the proposed property, but is it gonna be two buildings?
No.
Or one building that's gonna be cut into two?
We have plans.
Like, I'd kinda like to know what's gonna happen. I think it would put all of us at ease if we kind of had an idea of what we'd be looking at.
We submitted plans with this application that anyone could have come up and taken a look at.
Oh, I didn't know
Or they
that.
could have asked us, I mean, we're around town everywhere, it's not like we're not visible here, so anyone could have asked us at any point in time. The building's gonna stay, the perimeter's gonna stay the same, except we're gonna get rid of the church windows and we'll be modifying the windows because we're gonna wanna put home windows in it. We're gonna put a division line down the middle of the building, so it's 40 feet one way, 40 feet the other way. You won't see it from the outside. The outside, we're gonna put a new roof on it. The outside, we're gonna take and put insulation on it, 2x4 insulation, and then re-side it with vinyl siding or hardy board. We plan on putting garages coming out the front or the garage where the parking lot is.
Okay, so on the side,
Where the side is, you know,
Yeah.
where it comes out a little bit right now, where the
Right.
church office was, we're gonna take that down. And we're gonna come over and we plan on putting a garage in the center or two garages coming off that into the parking lot, so we each have a garage. You won't see from the outside any difference other than we'd like to add the garages on.
Okay.
But that's a permitted thing that we have to go through after the fact with the building department.
okay, so you're not gonna tear it down and put two separate?
No, we're
Okay,
not.
no, you know,
It's-
we don't know that.
It's the two of
what
us.
the plans are, yeah.
It's the two of us that are gonna live there. And that's our plan. She sold her house already, we're selling our house, and that's what our plans are.
Okay, well, that helps me visualize it.
We don't plan on developing the other lot right now.
Yeah, I think I know.
We don't have any plans for
That's the
that.
big parking lot. Yeah, okay, that helps me understand what the plans are, thank you.
That'd be a positive.
That's what I would think too. But I think you know that it's not.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, hearing no other comments from the audience, will a motion to exit the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the village ordinance does have their own definitions, and whether it's in Webster's dictionary or not, the definitions that this board goes by is what's in the zoning ordinance. So, if we talk about what a duplex is allowable in R1, and it says it needs to be, to look like a house and designed as a house. So this was built as a church, but as Mr. Nichols stated, he's going to redo the outside of the building to look like a house, and now that means that it is built as a house. And with that definition, a duplex is allowed with a special approval land use. It doesn't mean that there's going to be more than one duplex in the area. Everything, each time that there's a special approval, it has to come before this board. Just because you did one doesn't necessarily you're going to do another one. So anyway, okay. So Mr. Nichols, it's your turn. So you presented a site plan. What are you going to do to the outside of the building to make it look more like a house?
Like I said, we plan on, because the building is all block and there's not a lot of insulation, we'll probably be putting 2x4s to the outside of the building, vertically. And then we're either going to spray foam the outside or put rigid foam on it. We'll do the same thing on the inside. Then we're going to either put vinyl siding or hardy board or stone, cultured stone. I'm not sure what our design is going to be, but it's going to be an attractive look in terms of what the neighborhood is. We're not going to put anything objectionable up there. We're not going to change anything from what a residential use would be. The roof, I probably put a metal roof on rather than shingle roof because we've got all those walnut trees back behind us. And they seem to drip a lot of, there's a lot of drippings that come off those, so I'd like to try to, we'll probably do that. Landscaping wise, once we develop the rest of what we're gonna do, we'll probably have, standard landscaping. The lot that's on the other side, as far as I know right now, I don't have any intentions of doing anything with that because I might need the space for this occupancy. I don't want to crowd myself.
Okay.
So I can use it, as a two together, and we'll just go from there. So that's.
So, but the bottom line is you're going to make the outside look like a residential structure.
It's going to be a residential structure that my daughter and myself are going to live in.
Okay.
We're not renting it out right now. That's not our plan. Well, anybody can buy a house and rent it out here, like I said.
Okay.
That you can't hold that against anyone.
But a duplex is designed for that, for a house.
Okay. So now we need to move on the special approval land use. Board discussion?
Our ordinance allows for it. I don't see whether they're doing anything wrong.
No. No. And the definition states that as long as it looks like a house, designed as a house, so it's originally built as a church, but it's going to be modified to look like a house. It's
Yeah, need Becky's ordinance there, please. I've used it already today, so there's one thing I wanted to check, I keep forgetting. Bring that in.
sometimes special approval land uses can be limited to the owner, that the special approval land use would only go with the approved owner. But in this instance, it will be transferable.
What does that mean?
Because
It'll be a rental.
normally, it always transfers so that it doesn't stay with the owner, it stays with the property. And that's the normal way to do it. But every once in a while, certain situations, we can make it so that it only goes with the one owner.
So if
In
you
this
were to
instance-
sell this in the future, does that, are you saying it's transferable? It could be a rental unit?
It's gonna be a special approval land use until the building is gone.
So basically it stays once they change there and make their minds right now, it's staying permanently.
Correct. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who owns it, it will go that way in the
Permanent.
future?
Correct.
Well, that's important.
That's very important.
That's important.
I
That's
brought it up.
for I'm glad you did. I mean, Steve's okay, we know
Excuse me,
them.
please.
We don't know future people.
Well, we don't know who could buy your house in the future either, what they would do with it,
But
so,
it's not designed to be a rental, so that's all my,
any house
Yeah.
that's,
that's all.
All right. What did we
Just
just,
trying to
did we
understand.
get planner feedback last month?
Excuse me.
Did we get planner feedback on this one?
No.
Okay.
It's too straightforward.
So you're looking for a motion?
Chris is still,
Yeah, I'm balling over a couple.
Dave, would you like to, any more discussion? Dave, motion?
I move that we approve the special approved land use for 22755 Barrows duplex.
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so moved. Okay. I'm sorry there's people in the audience that don't like the decision, but the ordinance is pretty clear that it is allowed, and we're really bound by what the book says. So now we've got the special approval, but we have to
Prepare the site plan.
site plan. So you're not done yet?
Okay.
Okay.
But that's not gonna be today. That's the, I think Steve's up.
I don't think it's ready.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, to reiterate again, you're gonna kind of make it look like a house. What are you gonna do with the garages? You gave us two different drawings.
I'm not sure which one I'm gonna do until I figure out what the elevations are on the inside, because we've got multiple levels to access.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure, they're not gonna be obviously taller than the structure, but depending upon where I have to put them so that we can access the properties, whether I put one in the center and make it larger, or I make the two smaller ones, I kinda wanna talk to Dennis and you about that a little bit.
So you'd like an approval for both designs, so that you
Yes.
can use either one?
I would, because either one is, the setbacks are all within the ordinances. I made sure that, we didn't go into any kind of setback that isn't right there on the ordinance. The only difference is we would have two garages rather than one garage. If we had the one garage, it would still be split into two on the inside though. The areas that I figured on would all fall within the limitations of the property. I did all the computations for you on that one sheet. So all the areas are there, figured out. They all fall within the area that you can put on the lot. So anything that we had figured for that addition does not encumber the other lot or doesn't require the other lot for these two additions.
Okay, so on the front yard setback, it's 18 and a half feet. So your single garage is definitely inside that, and your dual garage is 25 foot. So we're inside that. As far as moving the building, you really can't do that. So, and the garages are just going to be single story.
I believe so. It would be a garage with, you know, there'd probably be some garage with some area above it. I might have a story and a half to it.
Nothing's definite.
Pardon me?
Nothing's definite.
I don't know yet. The floor,
That's the definition of definite.
This board really doesn't do the design of the building, we just do what the zoning ordinance is.
So in other words, I can put in site plans for 10 things on one lot.
No, that's incorrect.
No, that, why are you taking 2?
No.
10 is different too?
No. You're throwing something in that I didn't say.
Okay.
So
Well-
excuse me, sir. What I said was, this board deals with the zoning and what goes on that. So we're more interested in the footprint of the building. The building inspector, once it goes through this board, it still has to go to the building inspector. The building inspector will approve the drawings as far as being built and what can be built and what can't be built. As long as it's within the height requirements, the setback requirements, and the requirements of what can be built in that area, that's what this board does.
At this point.
So as far as building your house, we're gonna see how big the house is, how many rooms you put in that house. As long as it's underneath, it's gonna be within the heights, it doesn't matter whether it's a single story or a 2-story. So that's just what this board does. This board does not do the whole encompass thing, which I think is what you think that we do, and we do not do that. But you can't build anything you want. It has to be within the ordinance.
But I can supply 10 different plans for what I want to build, as long as it's within the orders.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
public hearing on this
Yeah.
property.
As long as it's within the ordinance,
This
correct.
is
Yeah.
presentation on this.
But once it's built,
It's
the
this
building
right here.
inspector will approve one set of
Okay,
plans.
but then how much?
So they'll have to come up with an idea for that. Just kind of give you an instance. A lot of times people come to us and they'll say they want to do a building and they want to occupy it as a commercial building. But they don't know what the sign's going to be. So we approve the business, but the building inspector then approves the sign later on. So it's just a similar thing. So it still has to all be within ordinance, has to all be within guidelines. It just doesn't mean that this board does everything. It's not all encompassing. That's not what we're, just like a police officer writes you a ticket, but you go to court for that ticket. So we only do one step. This is just one step. It's actually 2 steps because we're doing special approval. I don't usually give definitions like this, but I thought maybe it would be, okay. So discussion? Christie? Chris?
No, that's good, you said
Dave?
it's the setbacks, it's the percent
Mhm.
property use,
That was with the building inspector.
Yeah,
and the building codes are us.
okay, all in favor?
We already
Or
voted.
I guess we have to make a
You
motion.
want to make a motion on the, what are we calling it though?
So it's just the renovation of the, for the site plan,
So you want to call it
For renovation
sketch
of the-
plan?
uh, of This address.
227555 Barrows.
Yeah, into duplex housing,
Hold on, Becky, you got that? Okay, what's our motion?
Motion to approve site plan for renovations at 22755 Barrows into duplex housing as presented.
So moved.
Second? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay. Site plan for Taylor Marie Photography at 74265 Fulton. Okay. So Gal, you get to kind of tell us what you're gonna do and where you're gonna be.
Well, we're gonna be in the old Duncan Insurance Building, and we are just looking for a bigger space to accommodate all of our clients for photography. We do a bunch of different photography, newborns, children, family, everything.
Okay. And then you, in your letter of intent, you said you were gonna, kind of in the beginning, be open weekends and evenings, and how many employees are you gonna have?
Just us two.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Said mom's been demoted to assistant manager. So we got the sign, the dumpster. We've already got the lighting.
Okay, so, in the site plan, you gave us a parking thing, and I asked for that to be redone. So that was kind of redone, but you more than exceed the criteria for what you need. So, as far as I could see, you've only got about 900 square feet, and it requires one parking place per, then you have employees, so. Okay, so it's the photography studio, the property is zoned C2, and photography studio is allowed in C2. It's an existing building, so we're not really doing anything with the building itself. It's just the usage. So you're not really limited to your, so you say that you're going to start out with your evening and weekend hours, but you can expand your hours as long as it's not intrusive to the neighborhood.
Right, it's usually by appointment.
Yeah. Hopefully you get really busy and you have regular store hours.
Square feet apply within. How many beer or free spots between the two did they need? Was the one good, was the one not good enough?
Well,
Maybe a second.
So it only, for a photography studio, it says only 1 per 1,000 square foot, so that's, and that's usable floor space, not their storage areas,
Yeah.
and it's only about 900 square feet.
I'm just thinking, what's Carolyn using next door?
Because there's only one for both businesses.
So she would be retail.
I just couldn't remember between her and Dan how we got, we did kind
It's,
of.
they,
There's only one beer and free spot between the two, is that?
yeah, they're not using, do you have the second drawing?
The parking one?
Yeah. Yeah, that one, Yeah, that has more places on it than they really do have. But I counted it out and they have really 10 places plus the ADA.
Okay, so 100% is for me.
So there is parking out front, but they didn't even list that. And the ones on the north side really don't exist.
I was wondering that too. That's
Yeah, I caught it up too.
picture here.
Yeah.
That's,
No, but they still have more parking than what they need.
Yeah, there's parking.
Yeah.
parking all the way around.
Yeah,
I'd be in
the
the
stuff in the
back.
back is plenty.
Yeah, well, you have to have the side up, because isn't that how the garbage truck's gotta get around to get back there?
Yeah.
Dumpsters behind you.
Is there a dumpster on the property?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that's already screened and stuff? Yeah. Okay. And you're not gonna have photographic chemicals like they used to have?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, we don't need that one, yeah. The little sewer trays
Yeah.
for the silver in the water.
Hold that thing with the flash.
Yeah.
Okay, discussion or a motion to approve as presented?
I'm good with this.
Your motion? I'll second that.
Okay, so move we approve the site plan for 74265 Fulton Taylor Marie Photography.
Okay, as presented.
As
As
presented.
presented.
Yeah.
Second,
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, so who gets to sign? So we're gonna sign, okay?
She's gonna make sure too, she
Oh,
goes
Taylor.
with Dennis on the side.
Taylor, could you mind coming up front? Today's the 6th?
Dennis, will have to take care of this. Dennis, the building inspector, he takes care of it.
Oh, they
That
come
time.
back.
It does, but it goes, but he has the final. We approve this, he needs to make sure that
She
it
gets
meets
one?
this.
You can have that one.
The location, the size, the type, that.
Okay, good luck and welcome to Armada.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're to 23024 Main Street Stage Center for Performing Arts. Okay, and who's that?
That's these two young
That's-
ladies right here.
Okay,
The main thing.
all right. So, okay, so you guys are long-standing in Armada, and you just want to move across the street? Are you going to occupy both areas?
As of right now, but I don't know how long that will be. I mean, ideally, we would like to occupy both areas, but it will just depend on what happens with the business.
Well, it's a old building that's been renovated and looks really good. So it'd be nice to have a new spot
Yes,
to go to.
it would.
So looking at the floor plan, it's nice and open. So in the C1 area, you don't really have, there's not much for us to look at as far as parking. There's no parking requirements in C1 district. The building's already built, so there's no building codes that we really look at. Although, once you're approved here, and that actually goes for the photography studio too. You do need to have certificate of occupancy, and that comes from the building inspector. So you're not done as of tonight. You have to notify the building inspector that you're approved in, and he'll come in and do an inspection of the building and give you a certificate of occupancy, and then you're all set.
Let me elaborate on that. You need to come into the office, get a building permit application, fill it out, and then when you're ready for the inspection, the inspector will inspect.
Okay, yeah. I missed a step there.
So the plan is approved for use, and now in order to actually do it, now to get Dennis to actually go through it, there is a permit, a building permit that has to be pulled. Becky's saying come back to the office. So the first step in order to get that is your plan approved. The answer is yes. So now you can come in and get an application for a permit, a building permit for the site, that'll then trigger Dennis, then our building inspector, to come in and do the inspection and do your COO.
Okay, thought that was taken out.
Not the certificate of occupancy.
Oh.
That's him going in to verify that the
But as
building,
far as the sign.
your sign, he'll do all that all at the same time.
Remember,
Yeah, because
the
you really
approval
didn't,
is there.
you really didn't give us.
You
You
got
got
the
the sign thing?
Yeah, that's why I was just, because that's what started, I said, well, we need to come back and visit. The sign design, Dennis will then validate.
She did give all that to you.
Correct, it's in here. Yeah, it says 36, the
Oh,
tax
okay.
is in
Placement
here.
is there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I saw the placement was there.
The sign.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, then if that was presented, then you're good with the sign.
Right.
Yeah,
So, but your certificate of occupancy, you
Yeah.
do have to come back.
okay. Yeah, you're right, because we did talk about the sign, didn't we? Yeah. Okay. So we're back to the main stage center.
So lighting, parking, trash, landscaping.
What are you gonna do with trash? What do you currently do? What do you?
Well, we will have a trash pickup. I mean, we basically just have paper. It's not going to be anything too much more than that, you know. But we would hire somebody, either waste management or whoever comes into Armada. Right now, we just take it to our other studio and put it in our dumpster. Our studio that we have right now that's upstairs. But we will hire somebody to come pick up.
Okay, so there's no room for a trash receptacle other than kind of the roll-around trash can
Right.
type thing. That's what you're gonna have underneath the.
You're right, that's all we would really need. There isn't, I mean, we might have a small bag every night of trash, that's it. So if we have it picked up one time a week, that's, you know, that's more than adequate.
So just to kind of clarify, you'll have one of the plastic containers under, kind of in that back section underneath the balcony?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. You think you'd only have one?
yes, we don't need anything more than that.
And so your hours of operation will be what?
Well, we don't have a schedule put together yet, but we're looking at probably an early morning class, maybe around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and then something in the afternoon, and then evening classes also.
Okay.
Same thing she's been doing.
Yeah. So you're not, what are you gonna do for a sign on the building?
Philip Signs is handling that for us. We're not gonna have anything extending, everything will be very flat, you know, right to the building. We're looking at putting in the panels. There's panels up above, there's 7 different windows and there's panels up above. So we're looking at putting signage in those panels.
Windows up above.
No, they're panels, like wood panels
Oh,
that are above the windows.
Okay.
Yes,
So
and then.
this is on the street level facade?
Correct,
Okay.
correct, yes.
Okay, so you really don't have a sign thing that you're giving us, so
Right,
you're limited.
he's working on it.
Okay, so again, that would fall underneath the building inspector's guys to
Correct.
approve. But you're limited to 10% of the street level facade if you're gonna be the only renter.
Okay,
If you're not the only renter, then that would be divided on however the building is. So, I don't know, are you gonna rent the offices up in the front differently? No, it's all just one?
one, yes.
Okay, all right. So then you get that whole street level facade, whatever that computation is, your sign has to be only 10% of that.
Right, okay. And, but that doesn't mean we can't like decorate the windows and
Oh,
that
no,
type of
no,
thing?
yeah.
Okay,
So you can do special event type things in the window.
Mhm.
There is a time frame of what you can, how long those special events are, but if you have a special event, you're not gonna do it for a long time anyway.
right, okay,
Otherwise, it won't be special.
okay. That's true.
Okay, what kind of lighting, are you gonna have any lighting on the sign?
You have.
We're gonna
like-
put gooseneck lights
Okay.
on each window.
Oh, okay. And is that gonna be enough for your sign?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So the gooseneck lighting, that's gonna be the one that kind of has a shroud, so it only shines down, light doesn't go out sideways? Okay.
It's similar to some of the others in town. I'm just looking for
The
specifics.
newer ones?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
It's an old style, but newer one?
yeah,
Yeah.
What Ross has.
yeah. He's got them, and I believe the exotic animal shop maybe has them as well.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that.
Okay. Anything else, guys? So, but your signage does have to stay with, on the street level facade.
Motion to approve the site plan for 23024 Main Street, Main Stage Center for Performing Arts as submitted.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
I like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, she gets that one. This one's got a hole on the page.
This is mine.
That one's yours? Oh.
That's fine.
Lori?
Good sign here, all of them. Please.
I may have to dial it up on the phone here, like direct TV stuff, I end up all ready to go.
Okay. It's nice to meet you.
I forgot my
Both ends up being-
When we're on a roll, it's, when we're going to do it.
All right. All right, yeah.
But yeah, so in that case, I'd have my wireless device too.
Let me know, I watch Dance Moms every week.
Thank you.
I don't think she's gonna have dancing with the plane again. Okay, well, I can't say welcome to Armada, but good luck with your expansion.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
All right.
The building's looking great.
Oh, it
It
looks
is
awesome.
beautiful.
Cat's out of the bag, we're so glad it's you.
How you doing, Patty? It's good to see you.
Okay, so next thing is sketch plan for 23010 Main Street, and this is the sign. So, okay. Ross, Sam?
I'm back here.
Okay.
All right, what I've done is submitted a sketch plan. You can consider this an addendum to the site plan that I submitted a couple years ago, because that was a piece that was missing, as I recall. So this goes into quite a bit of detail. This is the types of stuff I would give to Dennis, but includes a projecting sign, single projecting sign. It includes a wall-mounted sign over the front, and then you see in there a graphic which represents the window signs, which I really don't need to bring before the planning commission. It is within the 10% of the facade that's allowed. A month or two ago, I came in and I was requesting that it be mounted up above the tin work on the building to the second floor. Again, the issue there is to get it below that, I'm into that tin work. I don't want to mess that up. I think the zoning ordinance and the master plan are pretty specific about wanting to maintain the historical character of the village. And I want to damage any of the tin work on the building. So, subject to questions, I think everything is in there in quite a bit of detail.
So are you going to have the signs that you've shown us that are on your drawing?
Yeah, that's a representation of it, yes.
Okay, well you have 4 signs and you're way over your percentage. So what are you actually going to have?
He's saying 2. He's saying he's just showing you as to what the window sign is, window details.
Yeah, but okay, so you're going to have window signs?
So the window signs are within the 30% of those 2 large pane windows. Right?
You only get 10% of the whole facade, period. So that figures out to 34 square feet. Rough figuring, without dimensions of what your signs are going to be in your windows, you're roughly 60%.
No, I don't think that's
Or
true.
60, not 60%, but 60 square feet.
I had the calculations in there, so...
But you don't have anything written down as to what your window signs are, or how big your window signs are, but looking at your window signs, they're roughly about 20 square feet apiece. I saw that.
I can't, there's dimensions that are in the paperwork, so
Well,
I
the
would not...
only dimensions are for your hanging sign.
Well, he's saying this, he's saying
I've got
the
to
first
find it.
floor facade is 340.75 square feet.
Yeah. So that would allow 34
So
square
it'd be
feet.
34 square feet.
And the hanging sign is 17 and a half. Roughly.
On the second floor.
On the second floor.
Let me come up and see one of yours. I'm missing pages in mine here, so...
Because that's ultimately what we're going to really chat about for this one.
Well, no, because
The other
you're approving the sign thing, so,
Yep.
yeah.
Take a picture of it. Got the dimensions. It was on the, in the narrative portion.
See picture 2.0 dimensions, see paragraph 2C2. Go ahead.
There's something missing here, so.
So there's no dimensions on your Ross, where you have window signs.
Oh, there is. So that's,
There's a C there's a section C.
the section that's missing, so.
Yeah, your section 2.2.
Excuse me. Meeting's still going on, please be quiet, please.
It does.
All right, there was a page in here that had a dimensional breakout of the street level facade,
Not there. What's this?
that's it, right there, so.
Oh, it's a double sign.
So signable area of the building is calculated as 23 and a half feet wide by 14 and a half feet high, 350 square feet, 10% is 35 square feet. So the projecting sign is calculated at 14.65 square feet. The wall sign is calculated at 4.9 square feet. And the windows are calculated, one window apiece, at 13.8 square feet. So that's within the limit. So that's a missing page for some
Okay,
reason.
well,
All
all we
because
can
it was
really
dou- it was
go by,
double-sided.
because you didn't present this, is go by this drawing.
No, well, this was.
It was in there, so.
I don't know.
It was a double-sided page,
Yeah.
and it was copied single-sided.
Okay, all right.
So,
So then, but
This is just-
this sign really going by your dimensions is 17 and a half square feet.
Can they make a copy of it?
I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not gonna be able to calculate on the fly here.
No, I
Here's
didn't,
the-
I didn't
here's
even
the drawings.
calculate that.
All right, so what did you say was 17 what?
17 and a half for the
Sorry,
new
so now
hanging
you're
projecting.
So they're down to 16.575 for everything else. So what's
Yeah.
the little sign? in the front?
4.9, I think it was.
Yeah, so 5.
Okay, so you got 11.675 for the other, for the windows.
Yeah. And what are you saying the windows are?
He had it that way.
So they're basically 7 apiece.
The windows have to be no more than 30% of the windows, so whatever's in the picture there, that's a Ross Belkey artist rendering, and they may be too big for the picture there, right? So, since I don't need anything technically for the windows, that's me making that drawing, that's the professional drawing there that you have in front of you for the projecting sign. So the projecting sign and the wall mounted sign are the ones that I think you need to be concerned with here. Obviously, I'll talk with Dennis about the window signs, and we'll keep it within 30% of whatever the square footage of the window is.
Well, it's not 30% of the window. It's 10% of the building facade. So you can't use two calculations. So you can use the 30% of the window, Ross, if that's all you're doing is windows. But you're not just doing windows, so you have to go by the facade.
All right, so
So you're doing two types of signage, so you have to pick which one you're gonna use.
let's not worry about the windows then right now.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about the projecting sign and the wall mounted sign.
Okay.
So let's not worry about the windows. I put them in for information purposes.
Okay, well, we have to kind of make sure that you realize that the window signs that you want, you can't have.
Unless it's within the allowable percentage available. I understand.
What's left.
Yes,
And it's not the 30%.
I understand.
Okay, it's only 10% of the whole facade because you're already doing a building, two building signs,
I got it.
okay?
Yeah.
So the window computation is out the window because you're not just doing window
Right,
signs.
so let's discount the windows right now, and let's
Okay.
just look at the projecting and the wall mounted
Okay,
signs.
yep, okay, that's fair. Okay, so, I did talk to a sign guy a while ago. Ross and I had talked one Sunday afternoon. You wanted to use the original.
This does not
mounting,
use the
but-
original brackets.
Yeah, okay, so in your paperwork it says that, and it's
Right.
gonna be through bolts, and,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
So they're kind of the issue of the second floor, you're not using the second floor commercially.
That's correct.
Yeah,
And-
it's not making it anywhere, from what already was in other already.
Yeah, there was
existing
something
uses,
out there
there's
way back
something,
when.
exactly, from the 60s or whatever it was. 68 or whatever was the last time there was a sign out there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what one it was, but, yeah, I just go back to the part here that it says that you guys can consider mounting it on the second floor.
Yeah.
If getting into the old tin work is not a good enough reason, then I don't know what is. Right.
But
So
we'll concede that, Ross.
I've got it down as far as I can get it.
Yeah.
So 8.5 feet up, which is the minimum height, 8.5 feet up, puts it into that tin work, the brackets.
You're within the requirements as far as the setbacks and stuff like that,
Right.
so
Yep.
really the thing is allowing it on a second floor. But, so then, are you gonna still have the "We the People" over the doorway? So you're gonna still have that sign, so you're gonna have two building signs?
The wooden sign, yeah, there'll be a wooden sign over there with hand painted on "We the People."
Okay, are you gonna have lighting over that sign?
There is lighting on the one bracket, yes.
There's lighting on what?
There is lighting on the decorative bracket that sits above the sign.
So you're gonna have, okay, so you're gonna move the light? So, here,
There's a-
Below
there's a-
the sign,
yeah, the lights are below the sign.
below the sign.
Below the
Yeah.
sign, yeah.
There's your light, there's your sign.
Yeah, that's the old sign ban, that's what we've got. So I'm not particularly interested or don't care to illuminate that at night. It's the projecting sign that will be illuminated.
Okay, so you're not gonna move the lighting, you're
No.
just gonna leave that as is, so that sign is not gonna be illuminated?
That's correct.
Okay.
The wood side's not gonna be illuminated.
Yeah, okay.
Wood sign will not be illuminated.
Okay, so now the sign, the only sign we have left is the protruding sign that is gonna have two lights on it that are just gonna project. So you're gonna do it just the way you drove? Got it in your drawing?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, wasn't there a wattage?
Yeah, these are,
I think they're only 50 watts,
50
is that
watt,
correct?
50
Yeah,
watt
okay,
bulbs.
that's-
so that should be, that's within 150.
Yeah, yeah. And you've got two lights, one on each side?
One on each side. Mhm.
Yeah,
Because the sign's got two faces.
yeah.
So,
Two faces and it's
Three is-
right tied together, so it's considered one square footage lot.
yeah.
Just dive back down. Die bond, you panel wire and composite aluminum, it's a phenolic coat with aluminum skins, it's proprietary. It's a trademark.
Well, I'm glad you decided to go with through bolts. Okay,
Yeah, so
well,
I've
as long as we,
I'm just gonna say I've consulted with Dean of Display Mix, who's gonna put them up, and that's what he recommends.
So we make a motion on it, would we say, we want to have the motion that it also indicates that it's not including the window signs? that
Correct,
are
so it's not as presented. So we're only approving the protruding sign and the small sign, the building sign above the
entryway.
Projecting
above the building. And what's our computation again? It's 17 and a half. I don't know how you came out with 14, going by your dimensions.
Because Ross has a slightly different than that, the one here it has a 23 and a half,
Right,
not 24 and a half.
They may have rounded up or rounded down, depending.
So at 23 and a half and 14 and a half, you get 340, 27.
Well, the 341, that's kind of goes out to his dimensions, but I'm talking about the sign itself, at the 14 square feet. I got 17 and a half. So anyway.
My computation is the maximum that I could have had. What they've come up with by the sign company is something slightly smaller.
Well, I just went by the drawing that he presented. So dimensions on that, it didn't really give an exact dimension of the sign, so it kind of scaled it. Because in looking at it, because you had 39 inches and 40 some inches, and then it was really neither of those, so. Okay, so we're approving just the 2 building mounted signs and the allowance to have the corner sign, the protruding sign, partially on the second floor. But we're not approving any window signs, and window signs definitely have to go into the computation of the 10% of the facade. So even though your other sign is going to be on the second floor, it's going to count for the first floor.
I understand.
Okay.
Further
Still
discussion? For a decent window sign. Still leaves for a decent window sign in the end.
Make your
Oh,
motion.
Yeah.
3.5 by 3.5 type thing.
He's gonna make the motion.
How to make the
Risky?
motion?
Well, whether it's good.
Chris, you got this, don't you?
Yeah,
That's what
sure.
I thought.
Right.
That's what I thought, Chris.
So motion to approve the sketch plan for 23010 Main Street sign for the protruding and
Here, let me read you what I already wrote.
okay. Oh, you had the draft. I was looking.
Yeah, you didn't
I was
do
looking
that
to see
when
if
I
you
got
were writing.
volunteered.
Motion to approve building mounted signs at 23010 Main and to allow one sign to be mounted partially on the second
The
story.
second story.
Yeah.
So
Any window signs not shown must go into the computation of total 10%.
and at this point, does that need to then, what would be the window sign would go through? No, it wouldn't matter. It's just numbers.
Yeah.
So Dennis doesn't.
Yeah. So he doesn't. I'll talk to Dennis and. But your window signs are really gonna have to be pretty small, or one, but even that's gonna have to be fairly small. Because you're at 1722, so you're only allowed 12 square feet.
We'll make it work.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you can do it.
Motion by Chris, second.
Second? Dave? Okay, discussion? All in favor? Aye. So moved. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Well, so when are you gonna open up?
When I get to sign it.
I'm so glad this is approved.
Trying to have it up by holidays,
Oh,
so gotta move quick.
Yeah.
Ross is classy. Everything they do is classy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be gorgeous.
I paid her to say that.
It already is gorgeous. I have
Paid
been waiting.
spokesperson?
Yeah.
Right. I have been
We've
waiting.
all been waiting.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
well, Bart's ready for second cooking class.
Sam's ready to put it on.
Yeah. Okay.
It's getting there.
Yep, very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, Ross.
See you, Ross.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back in hang.
Address assignment. Okay, so we've only done one of these before, and that was the Duncan facility, and that was an annexation and approval. So now we're asked to do another one of a outbuilding behind Carolyn's Cabinets and the new Taylor Marie Photography Studio.
But she wants the address for the garage.
Correct. So she wants the address because they won't give her a meter for the garage, and she wants a second meter for the garage, so you have to have an address.
She'll be the only garage in town that's got its own address.
No, it's not.
No? What other garage has it?
My little garden shed had to have an address, has an address, but Edison wouldn't install the electric until they have the address.
Real.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so Becky has the addresses and has talked to, I'm gonna let you do it.
Well, Well, I talked to the planner to ask him, which is really our job. He said to check with the post office first to see if they wanted to assign an address. They said the only way they would is if it had a previous address at any time that they had delivered mail, so it fell back onto us. So it didn't really matter, just whenever we assigned it to let them know if it was expected to get mail. I don't think the garage is gonna get mail, but so then it's up to us. So the planner just said to have us set up a process for this, for any time in the future somebody comes to us to assign an address. And to do whatever we can do to keep it in line with everything else in the area.
And then who do you get the number from?
We create our.
Created, but you look at the numbering that's going on.
So I already look at the street, what numbers are there, how it would fall in line, and go from there.
I'm really glad we're doing it because Detroit Edison used to, and that's why you have so many streets with the same identical house address.
Different street name.
Yeah, you have, there's all kinds, the streets
My
come right
house
across.
number's the same on the next street over.
Yeah, because that's the way Edison did it. They had the same set of X number of numbers and all they did is change the street name.
Well, if you talk to a police officer, that's how they get around. So they'll know that this group of numbers was this mileage, this group of numbers was that mileage, and
Center of the block, at the end of the block.
One way it was east and one way it was north.
It's kind of hard for them to get lost in our neighborhood.
Yeah, but I'm actually talking about Detroit. So
do we have a number?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
You want a motion for that number?
Carol's Cabinets is 74263. The photography place, that's the other part of that building, is 74265. So I would suggest 74267.
Which is in between the two.
6, 7. Yep. So it's still an odd number for that side,
And
yep.
that's Highway Street.
Yep.
And 61's already taken?
Well, the garage sits more to the north, so you would want to keep
Okay.
going up.
Yeah. So the creek side then?
Yeah.
I got a picture of the garage, but I can't.
It's right here. If you look in the other.
Yes, I had to look at the other
It's in there.
picture.
Yeah, it's on the site plan for the.
Okay.
Photography.
I think it's a good number.
Okay, so what we're gonna do tonight is make a motion and approve this number, but then the next thing we're gonna do is set up something for our next meeting that we have to come up with a criteria to assign these numbers when that comes up. So I don't know what your feelings are. I'd like to discuss it, that it does not have to come to the board, that can just be done administratively, hopefully by Becky or
By
something.
Becky?
Yeah.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but
Yeah.
Becky.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, does that change taxing or anything, that address has got to be done, where now that garage is part of that property?
The garage has always been part of that property.
Right, but
So
now
it
that
won't
you give it
change.
an address, does that mean they gotta assess
No.
that separately or anything? Still can be done as part of the
Oh,
property?
it's the
It'd be
same
like
rule.
apartment building. Apartment building has multiple
Yeah.
addresses on the same.
On the
You're
same
not
tax roll.
subdividing the parcel.
Okay.
So a motion to approve the garage at,
The address for the
4267.
I guess I was gonna move on that, Becky. Tell me what I said now.
Motion to assign the address for the outbuilding for Carolyn Harmon as 74267 Fulton Street.
good job, Kate.
Thank you.
Chris,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so then, Becky, Ms. Henderson will draft some kind of a thing for our next meeting so that we can kind of vote on the criteria to do this.
Just have a written policy.
That's what we need for them, yeah, thanks.
Start to
Okay.
set up addendums to the zoning ordinance on our own.
Okay.
We can start a new binder with only one entry in it.
We're back to public comments. Any comments from the floor?
I have a
Yes.
question.
Relative to your discussion following the presentation on the 22755, there was some talk about barrels. There was some talk about site plans and it seemed like a little bit of confusion in terms of site plan A or B and garage, and it was rather vague and not right now finalized, yet there seemed to be a vote. So has there been a site plan approved, and if
Yes,
so?
there's 2 site plans approved.
So both of those
Are approved.
Either are okay.
Yes.
And they are obtainable how?
Freedom of information, I don't,
So I'm
Come to
here
the
with
village
my mom.
office.
She owns the property at the end of Simon Street in the vacant lot. So there are 2 parcels that she owns in the area.
Come into the office.
yeah.
And get the plans?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a drawing. He
Yeah.
has no plans when he,
I understand.
yeah.
But in terms of the footprint and how that impacts the lot, that hasn't been discussed until at this point. It sounds like
Yeah.
that could be forthcoming, that extra lot.
It's extra lot.
Corner lot in.
Mm-hmm.
Could he put another duplex on that lot?
He'd have to come.
I don't know because I don't know the size of the lot.
It's been
All right.
all-
You know,
It is
it
feasible.
doesn't, it's not an issue
Not necessarily.
that we're discussing.
All right.
But though, so you've approved both plans that he has
Yes,
presented?
yes, he presented 2 plans and both plans were approved. As we said, both plans met the setbacks, and really that's kind of what we're looking at. We're looking at setbacks. He's gonna make it look like a house, so it's not gonna look like a commercial building or an institutional or the block building that it is. It'll look more like a residential structure. Everything else is fine. The building is already existing, so he's just gonna renovate the building.
The difference in the 2 plans are just 2 different garage options.
That's it. So the building is staying the same. So there's an outcropping to the east presently, and it's whether or not he uses that one or if he tears that one down. I don't know if he's gonna make that one bigger, or he tears that one down and he puts one on the north side of the building and one on the south side of the building. But both of those would be on the east side, so I said north and south, so there'd be 2 outcroppings instead of just one in the center. So one plan is a garage in the center, a dual garage in the center. The other plan is a garage on the east side of the building, on the north kind of end, and the other one would be on the south side of that east wall. So really, it's just garages.
2 questions. If there was vermiculite found in that building, what happens with that going from the church that it is to a residential? Would that be something that Dennis,
No,
he would not check into?
it's not commercial. So if it was commercial, then you'd have to kind of abide by stuff, but that's.
So they don't have to remove
that's-
that or
that's
test
really
that?
That's not this board's duty. Again, we're zoning, and
Planning and
building
zoning, not
construction is more the building inspector.
Okay, because I talked to Dennis and he said to ask that question, the questions that I had asked here. So would that be something he would be concerned as an inspector?
I'm not really sure what you're.
I don't know that you could answer for him.
Yeah, no, I can't answer for Dennis.
So I asked him the question, he said to ask it here at the public hearing, so I'll ask him again. The second question is, can they have any kind of business that comes in within that home?
Sure, anybody can have a home business in Armada, but you have to come into the planning commission to have that business.
Good to know.
So, and only very few businesses are allowed.
There's a limit.
There's a very small limit, what you can do. And you can't have any traffic. So, home occupations are very limited. Computer added a lot to home occupations, because you can have a very large business out of your house just using a computer. Okay, anything else? Hearing none, we're going to go to chair report. So at the last meeting, they said something about the Fritz condos. We did have that meeting. And in that meeting, now we're waiting for some feedback from the DEQ about water and sewer capabilities in the village, whether or not we have the additional capacities. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
So once that gets back, and those numbers might be in, if not. Yeah, okay.
So it's more than, became more than just the taps and getting with Ed, this went past that then.
Well, he got with Ed said, no, you
Yeah.
can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
But that was like location based, wasn't it? I mean, and we're in the number, but this one is now is more.
Well, before you do it, no, this is primary.
Okay.
So before you do anything, let's find out if there's even
Yep,
capacity.
right.
Once you discern whether you have the capacity or not, then you move forward. So nothing really is done. And if there's capacity, then we'll go into deposits and all that kind of stuff.
But he was chasing his tail at that point because you have to have some idea of how many, so you know what the demand on our
Exactly.
system's gonna be.
Yeah, right. So, but we're basing it on 31 units that they
31.
talked about.
I'm sorry.
Private.
Where is this
information?
Excuse
Condos in Armada. Oh, God, it's time to move.
me. Excuse me.
I know, well, you brought it up.
But I didn't bring up anything from the audience.
Oh,
So again, we
sorry.
had
We're here.
there's a time for public comments, but what we're talking about is over by well 8 on the south end of Armada, adjacent to the trail and east of the Village Well 8 site and the retention ponds for the Fritz subs. So there's roughly 4.5 acres, 5 acres back in there. You're talking about a condo complex back there.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me? Oh, yeah, thanks. So I asked everybody about going to the class at Rowe. I was the only one that signed up, and I was the only one that didn't go that signed up. So I got home with 10 minutes to eat, take a shower, and change, and I said, I'm not going to go.
What was it? Which one was that class?
It would have been good because it was on condominium. So, so I did talk to somebody in my professional life, the DPW supervisor of Rochester, and I didn't know it, but Rochester, the city of Rochester is mainly HOAs, so homeowner associations. So he gave me a few pointers, and the big thing that we have to do is make sure that the HOA agreement is spelled out explicitly.
Yeah, Jeff was using the one from Romeo as the guy, that's one of the ones he gave us.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that, it's on
I know it.
33 and it's behind the, was it GFW one?
Just a minute, trying to think of it.
I can picture it, I can't think of it too.
Okay, so that's my chair report. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for your comments. I don't know if you understand why we did what we did, but basically the village ordinance, the zoning ordinance is what we go by, and that's what we made our decisions by. So we can't go by anything that isn't presented in front of us. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
Good,
All in
safe
favor?
for you.
Aye.